Pretty significant update from Ann Arbor today. Update being, the former Michigan head football coach has been charged. We've been waiting on this. Now we know the charges. Charged with the following, felony home invasion in the third degree, stalking, and breaking and entering. 3 separate charges for Sherrone Moore, each carrying potential prison time, although it's still pretty unclear how likely the actual prison time might be. What is clear is that he'll be released on $25,000 bond, and they're saying to him, you are not allowed to drink alcohol, take drugs, possess weapons, contact the victim, or leave the state of Michigan. And he must wear a, quote, GPS tether, end of quote, which is, I guess, what they're calling an ankle bracelet now, a GPS tether. They probably should have also, if you ask me, on the list of things that he is prohibited to consume or do or think, they probably should have included butter knives and kitchen scissors as well, because allegedly that is what he used when he broke into her apartment to threaten either her or himself or both after the felony home invasion. Butter knives and kitchen scissors. Ask me, I wouldn't stop there. I would put a ban on those 2 things, and I would also ban him from using his phone or any social media apps. That way he does not slide into any more DMs, which is also something that he has been outed for allegedly repeatedly doing, sliding into random women's DMs, including even during games, allegedly. In fact, during the game, allegedly. During games at halftime, sliding into alleged DMs. In fact, the Wall Street Journal reported that at least 2 other women have told the university that Moore made unwanted online advances. So just be safe. Authorities should probably tell him to lay off the tang as well, because clearly the tang is clouding this dude's judgment. In other words, no booze, no drugs, no weapons, no phone, no social media apps, and no tang of any sort. Here's some footage from the arraignment today when the prosecutor laid out the scary scene in the victim's house on Wednesday afternoon.
He then, at some point soon thereafter, came to her apartment in the address that is alleged in the complaint, barged his way into that apartment, immediately then proceeded to a kitchen drawer, grabbed several butter knives and a pair of kitchen scissors, and began to threaten his own life. I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to make you watch. My blood is on your hands. You ruined my life. And a series of very, very threatening, intimidating, terrifying, quite frankly, statements and behaviors there in that apartment.
I mean, one of those terrifying statements that she has referenced reportedly was him telling her, my blood is on your hands. Yeah, nice try with that. You're responsible for me killing my career. You're responsible if I actually take my own life right now, which I'm not actually going to do. But if I do, that's on you. My blood is on your hands. With your butter knives and your kitchen scissors. My blood will be on your hands. Yeah, no, it won't. Sure, it won't. Wild, scary, sad, really hard to wrap my head around, hard to grasp that that dude in that white jumpsuit, looking beleaguered and terrified and out of it, was the Michigan head football coach only 48 hours ago. Unfortunately, those were not the only details to come to light today. We also learned that this alleged affair had been going on for years, plural, years, at Nicole Auerbach. Quote, The prosecutor says that Moore and the woman had an intimate relationship for a number of years. Quote, our victim broke up with the defendant on Monday morning. She presented herself to the school and corroborated the fact that they had a relationship. End of quote. So somebody yesterday asked, well, what changed? What changed? When they interviewed the two of them this summer, they both insisted there's nothing going on. Nothing going on between us. So what changed for her? Why did she change her story suddenly now? Well, apparently she broke up with him this week. That's what changed. Oh, she broke up with him and he reportedly fired her. Remember, she was his executive assistant. She worked directly for him. So I'm not sure what order this went down, but I could deduce maybe she breaks up with him and he fired her. We know both these things to be true. We just don't know what the timeline is exactly. But he fired her. He also gave her a raise, apparently. So there's all this flying around. Rumors about his extracurricular activities have been rampant, apparently, around that program. But matters finally came to a head this week when Moore was advised not to work directly with the staffer, Mays and Blue Review reported. So if that's true, when he decided to fire her instead of transferring her elsewhere in the football program or the athletic department, again, if the timeline sets up, she reportedly came forward with details of their alleged affair. Now, given all the smoke and the fact that there's no shortage of people saying we all knew what was going on, maybe this all comes to light anyway, but clearly firing her was not the right move. My man was like, oh, you're dumping me. All right, you're fired. You dump me, I fire you. Good move, dude. It's not like she doesn't know where all the bodies are buried or anything like that. It's not like she doesn't have hard evidence of your, quote, years-long affair or anything. You don't think that maybe she doesn't have a shoebox full of receipts? And as for those wondering what took so long for the school to figure this out and act, I'm actually wondering the same thing, especially since we now know the school actually conducted 3 separate investigations into Moore's alleged misconduct with women. 3. And if they had 3 actual investigations, can we assume that it probably was happening more often than that? I don't know. But now we know there were 3 investigations. Not 1, not 2, but 3. 3 investigations of the guy who is having a multiple-year affair with his executive assistant, sloppily sliding into DMs left and right with online models like OnlyFans. One model, she produced a screenshot or said she had a screenshot. But the school had nothing to act on until this week. And the only reason they had anything to act on finally was because she hand-delivered the evidence to them. So essentially, their 3 separate investigations yielded nothing. Wonder how that's possible. Whoever does the investigating for the University of Michigan is not very good at their job. Not very good at investigating for the University of Michigan because it turned up nothing. It's not like this dude was careful. It's not like this dude was carefully covering his tracks. It's not like, quote, they all didn't know. He doubled her salary suddenly. He fired her suddenly. And as everybody said over and over and over again, it was an open secret on campus. Everybody seemed to know except for the school administration somehow. And then even then when they investigated over and over again, they still didn't know. Pretty bizarre, right? Then again, this is all pretty bizarre, as are the reports that he was acting erratically for weeks around his assistant coaches and that Ward Manuel was aware of these mental health concerns before he fired him. As are the reports that Moore was stalking this woman for months. There's that report too. I guess on the one hand, we should all be somewhat relieved that this horrible situation did not have an even more horrible ending. Think how much worse this could have been. But where we sit right now is still pretty awful. A former head coach facing 3 charges, one of which is a felony, a former head coach being arraigned in a white jumpsuit. Not exactly the image that one expects to see when one imagines the holier-than-thou Michigan man. Let me say it again, Michigan man. Stop acting like you're somehow better. Stop acting like you're somehow different than everybody else, when in fact, you're just like everybody else, and in some ways, worse than plenty of others. And if you really want to clean up that cesspool that y'all been swimming in for the last several years, I would start by making damn sure that I do not bring in another Michigan man to clean up this Michigan mess. Because it's the Michigan men who have created this entire bleep show. So now we have charges and more details that are leaking out, and none of it's good. None of it's good. The visual of that guy sitting there in that arraignment 48 hours after that guy looking like that is incredible. What do I always say? What do I always say? And I used to say this long before there was any social media. And I'm not saying that with social media we know people, because social media is a big lie anyway, right? You know, what is social media? Social media can be really, really good and really, really beneficial, and social media can be the ultimate highlight reel, right? What do we see on social media? What people want you to see, them in their best moments. Social media is a gigantic highlight reel. So long before social media, when we had limited access, I used to always say, we don't really know any of these guys. We just don't. There's no way you can know a player, a coach, an athlete, an A-lister, a star, an artist, whatever, a musician, based on what? Interviews, sound clips, sound bites. We don't know any of these people. You don't know me. I don't know you. We just don't. But then you see something like this, and you really know we don't really know any of these people. Except apparently they're on campus, they did know. Because they can't wait to tell you, we all knew. We all knew. Well, if you all knew, then why did it take so long to act on it? Why did it take? Because we all knew, but we didn't have enough info. Well, you do now, because she came forward. And why did she come forward? Tough to say. Because she broke up with him? Because he fired her? Because the administration tried to separate the two of them? Because there were some horrible choices made? Because other innuendo and rumors that I'm not going to get into? I don't know. Just a bad, bad situation all the way around. And then Michigan man, I know you don't want to own any of it or accept any of it, and you just want to know who your next coach is going to be. And then there is that.